I've been playing Rainbow Six Siege since it first came out, and I always thought it looked pretty good. Even on next-gen console, it kind of looks the same, and PC, it looks amazing. But I always wondered, could I make it look better? So the plan is pretty much to see if I could color correct properly or better Rainbow Six Siege using DaVinci Resolve. The reason why I'm using DaVinci over Premiere is because with Premiere you can get somewhat specific, but in DaVinci Resolve you can get even more specific with that one thing. I should also mention what I mean by like correction and color correct. I don't mean just slapping on saturation and like changing the exposure and contrast. So I mean as more detail as we can possibly get. Let me just start by saying I personally do think that yes, you can color correct the game and make it look way better than it does. Now I will say, I am playing on console as that is what I have and that's what my friends play on. But I do have some PC footage that is recorded in a weird aspect ratio, thanks to my friend Jake. But he was kind enough to record some PC footage and give it to me. And I will say, even though that he gave me a really hard time with that he's in a dark room and has a boring white camo, I still think I was actually able to make it better than it was before. But from the most part, I asked my friends to put on colorful different camos or whatnot, just to see if I can make the camos look even better. And I personally think they actually do look a lot better. Feel free to argue if they don't. As much as I'd like to try to explain this, I'll do my best I can in very short terms of how I use DaVinci. I pretty much just use the basics, and I have two different nodes, which is pretty much like layers, I guess you can say, but one has like the lighting correction, I guess you could say, and the other has the like actual color corrections, like changing blues and whatnot. You have what I like to call just your basics right off the front, which are offset, gain, gamma, and lift. And I usually just tweak those a little bit, but if you notice, the footage I have is very cloudy and hazy, and it's actually like that a little bit on the PC version I noticed, but not as bad as console it seems. But anyway, that was actually very easy to fix with just using the lift, gamma, gain, and offset. But then, going into a little bit further, I was able to actually go into more detail and fix it and make it even look better, I guess you could say, with the lighting, and change the highlights, the midtone, and the shadow. Oddly enough, the shadow seemed to have like one of the best results after. I always kept forgetting about it, but there's like a little contrast button down here, and changing that sometimes made a really big difference and made everything look as great as I actually wanted it to. Going to what I said about before about DaVinci is more detailed in its corrections than Premiere, in that you can change the RGB and the gamma, offset, gain, and lift. And sometimes, like in the beginning, how there's that yellowish haze, or like it was a reddish haze, I was actually able to adjust that and fix it and completely remove it, which actually made the beginning clip, as you know, just an example, look really, really nice. One thing I will say right off the bat is the kill feed and the top part of who's on whose team. That part usually looks awful every time, and that is because when I'm doing this, I'm usually not focused on that. I'm actually focused on the actual gameplay. Now, theoretically, you could fix that by just masking that part off and, you know, adjusting it how you'd want to, but personally, I just don't care enough to do that. But the reason why I didn't is because usually when I'm color correcting, I don't pay attention to all that gook, as I'm not too worried about it. Now, going to the color part of the color correction, this is where I really made like the guns pop. I have Captain's gun here with like a, I don't even know, this might be just an uncommon camo, but I really like the blues and the pinks and the purple and everything mixed. But when you actually look at the camo, you can see that what I've done in just this layer is I pretty much just changed the overall like color of just the gun, whereas this one fixed all the lighting and whatnot. This one just focused on the gun. Here, for example, my friend was using Montang and used his pistol, and just changing the saturation, actually just cranking that as high, not as high as it can go, but really, really high, actually makes the camo, I think, look much more pleasing to look at. But overall, the color, the second little node or the layer is usually just meant to give that color that I want, that extra pop. It was a fun little project to do, but overall I was actually really surprised in how much detail you can get in color correcting and all the fixes and you can do just to make the game look better than its original state. I'm also very surprised too of how little color correction can make the skins, the gun skins, look so much better and pleasing to look at. My opinion is I personally think I can actually color correct this game fairly well. If you disagree, let me know. Don't get me wrong, there are some spots where they need a little bit more work. I think one of the worst things I have in here is it looks a little bit too red with Twitch's shark camo. But I mean, other than that, I think everything looks pretty clean. But to answer the main question of the video is yes, you can color correct Rainbow Six Siege using DaVinci Resolve. Overall, I think I did a good job of correcting the game and also making it look much more pleasing to look at. If you think so, leave a thumbs up. If not, and you think it looks awful, leave a thumbs down. If I did good, let me know. If I did bad, then let me know as well. I think that's going to do it for now, though. Maybe when I have an extra SSD to actually put more games on, maybe I'll come back and get my own PC footage and do it again.